Greetings from London. This is Mariam Sharif and welcome to Style Moguls podcast. I'm joined by a lovely guest from Dubai. Her name is Yasmen Ahmed and she's a CBT expert. What is that, Mariam? She is a cognitive behavioral therapist, an NLP expert as well. And she is going to help us with February action, because January we discussed about goals and how to achieve them. Now we're going to find out how we're going to do the doing part. So welcome, Yasmen.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me on here. As I just told you before, this is like my official first podcast.
Lovely.
I'm truly honored.
Yeah, and I hope that you have a very wonderful experience. So
yeah, no, honestly.
I've actually had some CBT done, had some therapy probably about 2 years ago. And I found it that it really unlocked and transformed my thinking and things that I thought I kind of knew about myself, but it really did, it was an eye-opener. So this episode is really about how to style the mind, I would say.
I love that. Absolutely love that. And I love that you talk about it with such positivity, because we still, even though we've come such a long way with where we were to where we are now with society, there is still that massive stigma in all cultures, not even, Asian or Arab cultures, in all types of cultures.
Yeah, so, and actually you've raised a really great point, and let's start off with that. So we have a very kind of a shame culture, don't we? Like we can't go to therapy, and even saying therapy is like, well, why do you want to go there? Like just pray it out, and it's in our culture, right? Like why? Just pray to Allah and it'll be, and yes, that is an excellent source of maybe silencing the mind. But when it comes to actually understanding yourself, you need a little bit more guidance, and that's where you come in.
No, absolutely. And spirituality is a separate sort of thing as well. Yeah. It can, of course, it can help, but it's all intertwined together. It's like, you can't just say it's just, mental health is one thing, physical health is one thing. Everything's mind-body connection.
Yes.
So which includes spirituality. So it makes me happy that now people have started to see therapy as what it is. It's not that, you are broken so that you need to get fixed. It's not
so
that.
Can you explain to the audience what it is exactly, and then just your kind of background as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, well, I'm a CBT therapist, and I actually went through the non-traditional route a little bit. So after studying and training in CBT, which is called behavioural therapy.
What did you do at university? Did you study this?
Psychology? Yes, okay. I studied psychology, and then after I did some further studying, and then I did some training in CBT. Yes. So specifically to become a CBT therapist. Yeah. So then from there, I worked with a few clients, but I felt like there was a missing piece, because I felt like it was just kind of one layer when it came to the traditional psychotherapy techniques. So that's when I went through a bit of a non-traditional route, which is I trained in clinical hypnotherapy. And in NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, which is all about language and how our brain responds to language. Yes. So that's when I thought, I was like, okay, wow, there's so much there, because I love learning anyway. So it's like, it made me realize how expansive we are and how truly we truly have so much power within us. Yes. So I went on to this massive route where I was able to then get all of these different techniques and then be able to incorporate that with my clients in a therapy session. I
find that once you start learning about, like we said, a self-discovery of yourself, you end up actually opening up to another world, and you feel like everybody should know about this.
Absolutely, exactly. That's actually why I started my community. I was like, how did I not know this before? Yeah. And it also saddens me that we don't have this sort of, emotional intelligence, mental health education growing up, but it's never too late. That's the first thing.
Absolutely. We didn't have it. Well, I definitely didn't have it. And when growing up, come from a Pakistani not traditional, but very open-minded, but very, Pakistani family, which you didn't even discuss. I think we had a very happy upbringing as well, a very happy childhood. So I think that also that there was no need for that until I guess certain things happened down the line. And now we're discovering that, we are having these conversations about mental health and how it's so important for our personal and professional life.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And when it comes to I see a lot of people even like you said, they come to therapy when it's at breaking point.
Right.
Or yes. So it's if you start, it's not just therapy, but at least work on the self-development side of things,
yes,
you can prevent that getting to that rock bottom. But
yeah.
also rock bottom is always a blessing, because then you can always climb back out.
Nice. Yes.
So, and that's what therapy really is.
So we don't have to, so it's CBT is not actually for when you are broken. Like, it's a great term that you use. Like we think, oh God, when it's the last resort and we don't know, and we're going crazy and we're going out of our mind, and you know, boo-hoo-hoo, and we don't know which direction. So really, that shouldn't be the resort. That shouldn't be the last resort. We can come to therapy much before to
100%. It's just having a safe, non-judgmental space. I think nowadays everything is so rushed and no one really listens to each other. So therapy is just that space where it provides you that safe, non-judgmental space where you can talk things out, and it's not the therapist's job to, you know, tell you the answers. All we do is like hold, it's like seeing as like a dark pathway. We just hold the torch and you go on your own pathway. So it's not like, you know, even hypnotherapy, it's like, there's a massive stigma of that. Like, you know, you're going to make me dance like a monkey. You're going to do all these things. It's not that at all. It's just, in the end, we just want to empower you. And that's why I think the new model of psychology, of psychotherapy, of, you know, self-help, even though self-help is, so like everyone talks about self-help now, but it's not sometimes as practical. You can't just say inspirational quotes, but not followed up with anything.
And this is what we want to do, the kind of the action part to what we're discussing, because we really want to look at more of the doing part. So let's take an example for if someone is stuck in a situation. What is the first thing that they should be doing?
The first thing, firstly, I would say on it, like, kind of is counterintuitive first, but is to feel what you're feeling first. Don't completely just resist it. Because that's something that we've all done, men and women. It's not regarding, you know, men don't, you know, shouldn't cry and all that, like limiting beliefs, but women is like, oh no, you shouldn't show your emotions, it's weak, it's this, like, just before, like, you know, we all have our moods. So like the more we resist it, the more it's gonna just continue to build up. Something my husband actually reminded me of this morning when I was having one of those off mornings, and I was just like, just don't resist it. I was like, okay. So I actually felt better afterwards. The first thing is not to resist what you're feeling, let it flow, but then also have it at like a threshold. Don't sit for months, you know, crying, eating Ben and Jerry's. Like there's sort of a limit where you're like, you know what, okay, now I felt it, now I've got to deal with it. So the second step is then focus on what you can control. Because there's so many things we can't control. I understand that.
Because the mind is so, it's kind of this tornado going into your mind. Like you're so confused, right? Like the thoughts just whooshing around and whirling, right? Absolutely. That's how I felt like for me.
Absolutely. You feel like you're in like a twister and you just can't really feel grounded. So actually when you do feel that way, it's actually a good thing to then get grounded. So even just have a few breaths. Put your feet in something like, sounds really like random, but like on grass, in water. Do something that grounds you, because we are actually
exactly that term, isn't it? To be grounded, to feel the ground.
Literally. So that's actually, that would be it. And then actually write down what is in your control right now. Because if it's in your head as well, it's kind of all over the place. But as soon as you start writing things down, it does get clearer. So it's like you just put everything out on paper and it's like, okay, now I have it in front of me, then I can focus on what I can control, not what others can do for me, and not to rely on others to solve it for you either. It's actually your responsibility in the end. So writing it all down, focus on what you can control, and then take it one step at a time. Even if you've moved like 1% forward with solving one tiny issue, then that's enough for the day. Like, not to have high expectations for yourself. Which is also a downfall for a lot of people, including myself.
I always think putting something down on paper really is when you can put it into kind of black and white, and you know, everything that you have here, you just dump. It's like a brain dump, right? Like you're dumping whatever your thoughts are, and then you just literally just put them all on paper, and then you can actually see what is going on here. You're literally transforming that onto paper, aren't you? Absolutely. And I think that writing or just continuously, you know, kind of venting, isn't it? You're venting.
Like go into action, because that's actually really good for your body, because when you're overthinking something, all your energy goes into your mind. But then as soon as you move into action, then you just get into this flow. It's like, you know, when you're like resisting to do exercise, which I'm sure we all do, including myself. As soon as you start moving, to do, even just go get your trainers, go, get clothes, do something, or even just the motion of standing up, that already puts you into motion, and then onto the next step. Absolutely. So do something like action wise, even go for a run when you're like up in your mind too much, go for a run, do something physical, bake, anything to get your mind, because then you can actually come back with a clearer picture rather than being really overwhelmed.
Yes, I think that works for me 100%. I always kind of go out for a walk, go out quickly, and and I think better. It just clears me, it calms me, and everybody has their own strategy. Some people, like, I just like to kind of go out for a nice walk. What is it that you do?
For me personally, it's I actually like to sort of sit down first and kind of take it all in.
Stationary.
And then afterwards, honestly, just go for a walk, end up like writing it down. Sometimes I actually feel, even though it's an advice I give, which I also, being completely honest, it's actually something I sometimes feel resistance when it comes to writing stuff down. Oh. It's like, it's like, and then a part of me, then I end up questioning, why do I not want to solve this? And then I like psychoanalyze myself to like, well, why am I not doing it?
Yeah, because we're all, like you said, we're all on this self-discovery journey, and we have to allow ourselves and to be vulnerable to and this is exactly what this podcast is about, for us to, as women, to really show our vulnerability and not escape. I had so many of my very good friends last year who didn't talk and discuss things, and so we didn't know what was going on, and they saw me on social media and then my podcast, and they thought, you're fine. I was like, yeah, I'm fine, but you need to speak to me because I want someone to talk to. And it just, that miscommunication just went on for months and months, and you just realize that you have to kind of you have to take a step back and connect again. And I think we kind of lose the connection of ourselves and with others. First we can disconnect with ourselves, and then slowly we've disconnected with other people, which we're kind of oblivious to sometimes.
No, absolutely. And it can happen without even realizing exactly, like just isolate and then not end up doing anything about it. It just kind of just down spirals.
Yes.
And just because someone, that's something I really believe in, just because someone looks okay in the outside, like you said, on social media, you're doing your thing, you look good, you look great, everything's fine. So everyone just assumes that you're fine.
Yes.
But they don't actually know what's going on internally. So it's always like that. And that's why, like, it's just important to approach everyone with non-judgment and with kindness.
Absolutely.
Don't see things, you literally do not know what's going on. And that's the issue with social media as well. It's like that perfect highlights. Someone posts like one good thing about their day, but then the rest of the day was really crappy. So then you think that's their life.
Yes.
In like relationships, unfortunately, like they only post the good, and everyone just has this high expectation about this is what marriage is meant to look like, or relationships, and they end up arguing with their partners because it just goes into this massive spiral of like comparison as well.
Yes.
So it's just important to actually stay grounded, and also not to assume that there's going to be people who look okay, but actually inside they're not actually okay in the end.
Yeah, and majority of them, I think that even just asking them how somebody is, I think that asking that question just now and again, it really does help. And we don't know what people are thinking until we ask that question. And questions are so important,
Absolutely. And it's so simple. We know
exactly. I think it's the simple things, but I think we need to go back to simplicity, where we've kind of overcomplicated our whole life. And then if we actually simplify things and take them back, life can be much more happier. Do you not think? I think that when we are overwhelmed, because we are trying to do too much, right? I would accomplish too much. We want to do this. We want to tick off the list, and we want. But being busy is not being productive.
100%, and it's not a badge of honor either. People say, oh, I'm busy. It shows like they're so busy, and like, it's a good thing. It's actually not a great thing. So I absolutely agree with you. Going back to simplicity is one of the key things.
During this pandemic, we're still living through it, and we have to coexist. Some people have it very easy. Some people don't have that responsibility. Like I look after my mom, and as a carer, I've got the responsibilities of kind of limit my outgoings and my events and social activities. some people with children don't feel like they want to go out. How can we manage our mind through COVID still in this year? What would you suggest that would help us during 2022 to combat that?
Okay, so it's one, to actually normalize what everyone's feeling. Because of course this is what pandemic that we've all been through, and the after effects is still there. So not to just think I should be fine, like firstly not to use the word fine just because, you know, things are starting to get back to normal, then I should be fine. I should be able to, you know, hang out with my kids and go out and do everything. But it's still taking a toll on all of us. It's something that was massive. So of course it's going to take some time to get back out there. And in a good way as well, this has changed a lot of people because it's made them self-reflect and spend this time with themselves to truly like understand themselves a bit more, because I think we keep ourselves so busy going out before the pandemic, go out, do this, have all these plans, and when we just, as a form of like numbness or the distraction. So now when we can't really, you know, numb ourselves or distract ourselves, everything's gone back onto you. So the best is definitely to normalize and to begin to go back to basics regarding what you actually used to like beforehand. If you have, even if it's just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if you just like to read, if you just like to draw something when you were younger, like go back to what you were like as a child, because that's when that's like your most untouched, pure self before society, all the limiting beliefs, you know, everything that's come, all this expectation that society's put on us now, that women and men, but women like especially have to be doing this, like we have to be everything to everyone. And we can't, you know, with everyone. And same with men have a lot of responsibility. They have to be this and this and this. So actually put on the role, like the first thing is the relationship with yourself, obviously, but also go back to basics, to actually what truly made you happy, something so simple. So something like you actually working on your podcast, working on your mission, working on things that you genuinely love, which is, and adds value to so many people. Like I'm sure your podcast reaches and genuinely changes people's lives. So knowing when you go to sleep at night that you've done something purposeful. So even if you're sending a card to someone, so do the little things, just to
greatest thing. Send cards these days.
I love sending.
It's a great thing. I like the notion of sending a card. Actually, I think, you know, I said my my niece was 16 and I sent her a birthday card, and it was so unusual. Like, we never send a birthday card.
Like, what is this? Is it touch screen? Can I? It's just something so simple. One of the most beautiful ways is actually helping someone else, and that actually it helps us. So something so small. So even if something with your children, so do something good for someone else, or focus on something that truly gives you pleasure, gives you, like, even if it's just 5 minutes. I understand people have responsibilities, have children, like you're a carer, so that's, but it's just carving out a few extra minutes to do something so simple. It doesn't have to be, you know, a whole day shopping. It doesn't have to be a whole spa day. Like, it doesn't have to, or something expensive either. Just something so simple. Call up an old friend. Like, do something simple every day that truly just makes your heart light up.
Yes, it's the daily practices, isn't it, that allow you to kind of don't. So I usually say, you know, take every day as it comes, because then when you think about like the whole month or the whole week, you just get overwhelmed, and that overwhelm kind of makes you kind of paralyzed in your mind, and it doesn't allow you to move forward, does it at all? So I think that this is a great point that you said, that small, you know, bite-size information or daily activities that you can achieve. And don't you feel like sometimes that when you have big goals and big missions and you haven't achieved that, you actually feel a bit disappointed in yourself? And I think that's what we want to avoid, isn't it? We want to avoid that disappointment in ourselves and thinking, okay, we had all these things that we wanted to do and we didn't do them. So small bite-sized.
It's sort of like we're grieving a lot of the events that we, you know, didn't do or couldn't attend. We're grieving a lot of the time that we lost with loved ones as well, that we could have spent, especially grandparents or parents. So there's a lot of grief there as well. And so focusing on what you've actually accomplished rather than what you've missed out on, because I'm sure there's still a lot, even if it's tiny. You know, got up today, finally made, you know, finally ordered something or done the washing, or, you know, finally ordered that book that I've been wanting. So it's just something small. Focus on the tiny things, the tiny accomplishments, Something that my husband always tells me, like, focus on the small wins throughout the week, because then when you look back on it, you'll see that you've done a lot.
Yes.
And then you're like, actually, I might have missed out on this, but look how much I've grown in this.
Yes, it's focusing.
Look how much I've connected with my children, with my husband, with my,
focusing on the positive, isn't it? Rather than looking at the negative side or the not achieving. So just always focus on the positive and what you did well, rather than
like the lack of, because when you focus on the lack, it's just like a downward spiral from there.
Yes, absolutely.
And we can all do that. We can always just focus on the lack, then end up forgetting all the blessings that we have around us. It's not just daily practice of gratitude, but just reminding yourself there is so much, the fact that you're in good health, the fact that your loved ones are in good health currently, things like that, focusing on all these things rather than the lack of.
Yes.
And have such a massive difference.
I think people say, but don't believe. And I think it's that self-belief that I always believe that you have to kind of instill. People like to say things, but what is it that kind of concretes that self-belief?
It's actually, it goes back to your why, like your purpose, your mission. It's not about having this big massive mission of changing the world, but go back to your why. Why do you actually get up every morning?
Yes.
It might be something so simple, but you've got to tie in that belief comes from emotion. You've got to tie in with an emotion. You can't just say it's just like affirmations.
Yes.
People say, just say I am confident, then you'll feel confident. It's not like that. You have to
there's a feeling that you have to attach to it. Yes,
absolutely. So like actually closing eye, visualizing, the life that you do want. So that's maybe why you get up every morning and you work so hard, or you do something, or you're looking for the right person to create this family with. So it's just looking for your why, for the belief that you want to install. And a really good like journaling exercise or like visualization exercise I like to do as well is to take yourself to the side and actually talk to, as if you're talking to your higher self, or visualizing yourself in 5-10 years who you would love to be.
Yes. And then future tense.
Yeah. So like the person that you're going to be, but you just need to get there. And then work backwards, like what beliefs does she have to be that person? So what does she tell herself every morning to become the person? And then start incorporating those beliefs into your daily system. And then tying in with the emotion of, oh, it's all right. The fact that you can think it means that it can actually be possible.
Yes, it's creating those thoughts in the first place, isn't it?
Yeah. And tie it up with emotions, or like actually feeling it, closing your eyes, feeling how confident it feels to be doing this and this, how great it feels, like feel it in your body. Your mind doesn't actually know the difference between fiction and non-fiction. Which is crazy. I'm sure there's so much, like you can, anyone of your audience can just Google the benefits of visualization.
Yes.
And understand.
I love visualization. On my board, and what, and it's true. I actually visualized my wedding ring. She had a vision board, and then people say, what do you want that for? But I think with images.
Yeah,
it's really understanding your own and understanding which kind of technique is best for you. How do you understand and how do you learn?
Yeah.
And so I had this big vision board, and I kind of do it every year. And I'm a big journal person, and I like to write down my thoughts. But I at this one point in time, and this one year, I was like, put down all my images and everything, and I put this one ring. Yasmin, I put my ring on that I liked, and I was like, and I swear to God, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same.
This is proof to everyone watching.
I'm telling you, I do it. I've done it. So it definitely works. And I do love that practice.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like even like some people prefer feeling than visualizing, but your proof, there you go. That visualization.
I like to do everything from the heart. Like for me, if I'm not feeling it, I can't do it. And for me, it all starts with opening up the heart, and then I open up the mind. I think that if you can allow your heart to open, and we have instances through our life, it might be a breakup or a divorce or a bust up or, partnership not going right. But if you allow your heart to open, I think that's the possibility of everything. That's where it all opens from.
And the heart is actually, like, scientifically has a lot of power. And actually ancient Egyptians used to see that like not the brain, but the heart was the most important organ.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's a lot that talks about that in general. Like the heart has such powerful like information as well. So when we say like, you know, gut instinct, or all going back to the heart, connecting to the heart.
Yes.
And a lot of like meditation practice as well. Like it's just literally as if you're talking to your own heart and you're sending gratitude and sending love to your heart.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's just, you know, the heart, absolutely, I agree with you. Like opening up your heart and everything else follows.
Yasmin, on your page, on your Instagram page, I've seen that you talk a lot about kind of toxic relationships and how to deal with that. How do we deal with a toxic relationship that we have, maybe personal or professional?
Yeah, absolutely. Because like toxic relationships can be toxic relationship with yourself.
Yes.
Which includes a lot also, which includes self-sabotage and how you view yourself. Toxic relationships can also be with, you know, with colleagues, like you said, with family members even. And a lot of people have toxic relationships with their own like husbands, wives, you know, partner, boyfriends. So a toxic relationship with friendships as well. So it's kind of overall everything. So when we say relationships, people automatically think romantic relationships.
Yes. Yeah.
But toxic relationships can be with just random strangers. You know, if you find yourself constantly just being so angry with strangers, like that's also toxic relationship to have with other people.
So Yasmin, I've not heard of being in a toxic relationship with yourself. Can you explain a little bit more about?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So sadly, especially with like my older clients that I used to work with, we are the harshest ever on ourselves. We actually criticize ourselves more than anyone would criticize us.
Yes.
And even when it comes to like self-image, looking in the mirror, like self-image and like confidence for me was a big issue growing up. So you're actually feeding yourself toxic thoughts and doing toxic cycles, like people who, you know, even over exercise or overeat. So we have toxic behaviors that then fuel into this toxic relationship with ourselves, and end up actually hating ourselves or, you know, hurting ourselves. And actually I've worked with a lot of people who like, you know, self-harm. So it can actually spiral into something else, or it can then spiral into settling into something that is not for you. So for example, people who do have toxic relationship with themselves, then, or toxic, you know, it doesn't have to be like continuously, but toxic way of viewing themselves, then they will then settle into a relationship, for example, which is also toxic.
Right.
Because they believe that that's what they are, because we truly attract what we are.
Yes.
So because that person will feel like they are toxic, or, you know, they don't deserve better, you'll find themselves in toxic friendships, in toxic relationships, and even toxic, you know, having toxic people around them, constantly feeding them more toxicity.
So they'll attract it. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's why like when I say toxic relationship with yourself is one of the most important things to discuss, because then if you begin to heal that, begin to see yourself in a much more beautiful, higher light, that toxic relationship might happen, but has less likely chance to be attracted to you. And even if it does, if toxic relationship or toxic friendship, then at least you'll see the red flags, or you won't settle for anything less than what you deserve.
Yes.
That self-worth is there. That self-toxicity, it completely removes any self-worth, and you just end up settling into anything. And that's why a lot of people are in toxic relationships or toxic friendships.
You kind of end up compromising and continuing years and years of a relationship which didn't serve you at all.
Absolutely. You know? It was wrong in the first place. Like that's what truly ends a relationship is usually something that was there in the beginning, but we just chose to ignore it.
Yes.
This is so important to set a standard, because like if there's one message I'd love for especially women to tell women out here is that what you're looking for does actually exist.
You know, if somebody's not aware of it, have that self-awareness, how does somebody recognize that then?
So recognize their self-worth. So when if they're truly not happy in a sort of relationship or friendship, we sort of just you sort of know, and even deep down inside, that you've settled into a relationship, or you're just with this person because why not? But truly deep inside, there's like that sense of like wanting more, even out of a friendship. So people do know, but you sort of deny it, or even if closest friends to you tell you, or family members tell you, you know, this person's not right for you, the people sort of just ignore it because they believe that they aren't worthy of anything else or that's where it is. And there's that scarcity mindset as well, especially in a lot of cultures, that, you know, if you find someone that likes you, or you find someone that's going to be with you, then just, you know, grab them and just, let's do it. That's my
And isn't it, it's quite strange. It's usually the man who normally picks the woman. If we talk about, you know, personal relationships, someone does approach you for a relationship or marriage, then we should be happy about it. But we really don't think about like our options and the fact that what is really good for us and what's good for our soul.
Absolutely. And just not to actually settle, because again, society pressures us into, because, you know, you're getting too old, you know, for women especially, you know, you won't find someone else that's gonna, you know, that has a good job,
much more professional in their careers, and they're climbing up the ladder, and they're spending a lot of time in their careers.
Absolutely. So it's not, there's no like time pressure, but society and cultures, I'm sure Asian cultures, same as Arab cultures, have that pressure as well. So it's escaping from all of that pressure, because it's not true. You will find what you want, but the first thing is actually
focusing. But in that moment in time, that person doesn't know it's true, right? Like, because they're so convinced. Let me just tell you, like, I was so convinced of it, like, you know, this is the only part, this is, and I'm an educated, well-traveled woman who is, you know, in her early 40s, and I was like, and I think it's like, again, it was trying to convince myself, but even I was kind of deep down, I knew, but I compromised. But I feel that, you know, I was trying to make it right, and I ignored everything else and just concentrate, because never failed at anything. It was like, I can't fail at this. But
we take it as like, like we have to, like, people put pressure, like, oh, this is like gonna compromise who I am if this doesn't work. Well, no, absolutely. But like, from what you've said, you were trying to make it work. It was like there was a bit of force there. It wasn't like ease. There wasn't much ease there.
Yes.
I think it's important to then, for any other women out there or anyone else.
How do we recognize a toxic relationship? What are the traits of a toxic relationship, and what should we kind of watch out for?
Absolutely. So the first thing that we should first recognize in a relationship is, you know, that saying that we always say to ourselves, you know, that person will change, and they'll change later on. It's like having that belief that that person will change. So first thing is not having any expectation that person will change at all. That's the first thing. But certain characteristics of a toxic relationship, whether it's friendships, whether it's marriage, or any form of like romantic relationship, would definitely, if the person doesn't have any boundaries with you. So if you said no and that person just continues, for example, or doesn't respect your boundaries when you say certain things, or, you know, no, I can't tonight, or, you know, I don't want to go to this thing, yet they keep pressuring it, not respecting your own space or your own decisions. The second thing is to also having that sense of like jealousy, that there's like a competition between you guys, because a marriage or a friendship or so, it's meant to be a unity. You become a unity, you become one team. And that's what something like me and my husband always say, like, it's us against if we have a problem, it's us against the problem. And it's something that, like, thankfully, and like, I'm really grateful.
Not against each other.
No, it's not. Like,
it should never be. You're on the same team. Exactly.
Absolutely. And it's something that was modeled to me, like, gratefully as well, by my own parents. So it's like the problem, like, we'll sort it out together. So it's never them against, like, it's not against each other, because in the end you'll both lose. Because in the end, like, even if you think you've won, you've actually lost. So if someone has this kind of jealousy as well, like, I want to get ahead, I don't want them to succeed as much as I do. No, it's like you want the best for them. So any form of like jealousy, lack of support as well is important, as well as like contempt. Like, you know, when you sort of, as soon as it's like resentment or contempt, that's when you know a relationship is definitely like due for failure, or it's going to be a very toxic relationship.
Right. Yes.
And then the last thing I would say was also be when there's no responsibility. So if the person has, you know, did something and they're not taking any responsibility for their own actions, and then somehow makes it was your issue in the first place. So lack of responsibility, lack of gratitude, lack of support, having that sense of jealousy and enviness. And you sort of know it, but you're just not like listening to your gut a bit more and truly believing that there is someone else out there that's better for you. And I know you said like when you're in it, you don't see it.
Yeah, when you're in it, you don't. You're kind of blinded. You actually, isn't how fear takes over everything?
Yeah. And then you think of like scarcity, and you think of lack, and then I'll end up, alone, or I'll have no friends, or I'll do, and then it kind of down spirals. But from there, that's why it's important to then connect with other communities, to connect with other women. It all goes back to your community. If you all have friends who are all in toxic relationships, then you think that's the normal, that's the norm.
Yes. Yeah.
Then clearly that's not the right friendship for you. So also connect, make sure the people around you have more healthier relationships. So then that sets that standard. If not, then find new people. Don't like dump your old friends and then find all new friends. But be aware that, okay, maybe that person's not that happy. I don't want to be like that. So maybe I should find someone else, or another clique, or another community, another tribe. If not physical friends, there's online communities. And it's so easy now, like people that you follow, you can always find information on this. Simply going on like a toxic, any Instagram page or any forum about toxic relationships, seeing the signs and then, okay, I'm actually in one.
Yes. Sometimes you read something, you think, oh gosh, is this me? Is this happening? And it does. And like you said, words are so important, because what we say to ourselves and how we believe is what will kind of, we're going to vibrate that, that frequency will go out to the world. So what the words we use are so important. And how we describe ourselves, because I think that, again, when you're harsh to yourself and when you speak badly about yourself, words kind of manifest, and you start to kind of start thinking that way. So I think using good words and kind words to yourself first.
I know that you deserve what you want. Like truly, it is actually out. I know it sounds so cliche, but like honestly, when you know, because you find this like ease,
you feel free, and you feel like a sigh of relief, and you think, oh gosh, that was just hard work, and you don't realize it. And again, like when you said communities and having good people around you, and I guess that when you are isolated, you don't really realize, sometimes you choose not to even believe. But I had a friend of mine, and she said to me, a university friend, and she said to me, after a long time I had met her, and she said to me that, Mariam, there's sabr and there's suffering, and what you're doing is suffering. Because she knew me so well. She said, this is not you. This is not who you are. What is happening here? You're suffering. And this is not what you need to be. It still took Yasmin time for me to kind of to walk down that kind of road of thinking, oh my gosh, I can do it, or what is wrong, or addressing those problems. It takes a few years to even solve those things, because there's so much that's happened, and it depends on your relationship, how toxic it was, and what you need to kind of go through and address at each point, because you have to address everything for you to move forward. I believe that you truly can't move forward until you address all those events and issues and arguments and all those incidents that you had.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because then you can start off clearer.
Yes.
So it's not there like lingering.
Yes, absolutely.
No, I agree. And it does take time. I'm not going to estimate how long it will take for someone to get out of a relationship, or a toxic relationship, or toxic friendship. It's difficult. It's one of the most difficult things. But then when you come out the other side, you look back and you genuinely feel like a different person.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely. So I had someone
message. You even recognize your old self. You're like,
My friend said to me, I got a message this morning, and she said, oh, you're looking fabulous. Can't wait to see you when you come to Dubai. And I was like, oh, really? And she goes, yeah, you look completely different. And I was like, to me, I think I look the same, but it's really strange, isn't it, how somebody else's perception of you is different, because they see you in a different light. They're like, oh wow, you know what,
like you're glowing, like you're free, like your
life. That's highlight to love.
also freedom and all the self-growth and all the journey, like everything that you've come to learn. So that's it. Like I like, it's cliche to say, but I truly don't believe in like regrets at all.
Yes.
Like, the decision we made was based on a decision that we thought we knew best at that time. and that's okay.
Yes.
Like, it's, when you know better, years down the line, that's okay to then change your mind to get out of it, to do everything else.
Yes.
Not to like sit and think about like, why did I do this? And just like, that goes back into then self-toxicity, like, oh, I'm so dumb, I'm so like, why did I even accept this in the first? That's what happens, just moving forward.
Yes, definitely. That, because we can't change the past. There's no point of having any regrets, really. You know, what you have to focus on is the future, and or the present. Actually, something about present. The other day I was walking and I came back home and I said to my mother, I said, now I walk, I can actually feel the ground.
Wow.
And I had to take a moment after saying that, because I realized that for the first time I can feel my own footsteps, because I was just probably for so many years just floating, or not really kind of connecting, you know, like I normally would. And when I came back from my walk, I felt like every footstep I took was moving me forward, and I could feel it. I could feel where I was walking. And that for me was just remarkable. I did have a moment that day and I was like, oh, alhamdulillah, you know?
That's incredible. Like, thank you so much for sharing that. That's so beautiful, because like you said, like, we're all mainly on like autopilot. It's like, you know, when you're driving home and you just get home and you're like, how did I get here so quickly? You don't remember the drive, you don't remember, our thoughts are very automatic.
Yes.
So it's just so beautiful that you actually were able to be that present. And I love the metaphor, like every step was moving forward. I love that. It's actually really good visual. Like when I go on walks or go on like runs, I like to visualize like a certain goal or certain something, and then like when I'm running, I'm like as if I'm running towards it as well.
Yes, exactly.
I love that you share that.
We talk about setting boundaries a lot.
Yeah.
Explain that, and how can we set boundaries?
Absolutely. So the first thing is to realize that setting boundaries is hard. It's not an easy thing, because we are wired to, not all of us, but most of us are wired to people please. You know, we want people to like us. It's actually human nature to be part of a tribe.
Be liked. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we want to be liked. We don't want to not be liked. And you know, it's actually like, it's been like, it's from evolution from years ago, because we've always wanted to be part of a society. We always wanted to be liked and just be part of a community. So setting boundaries triggers this emotion of fear, where it's like, okay, if I say no or I put a boundary, then that person will leave me, or that person will no longer like me. But actually, I want us to actually like demolish that belief, because boundaries is something that is so important, and the right person, which I want to like emphasize here, will respect that. The right person will respect if you set a certain boundary. So how to set boundaries? First thing would be to actually write down what is important to you.
Right.
If something like like I said before, like what we mentioned before, like set a standard of what you will accept to do and what you want to do and what actually is important to you. So for example, if your nighttime like routine, or like you've got a nighttime thing, or you've got a certain commitment that you will never, you know, compromise on, whether it's family, whether it's you know, time for yourself, whether it's certain workout, write yourself a list of things that part of your identity, is part of like you will not compromise on.
Right.
And then so then you're aware of it yourself. You can't just, so that's the most important thing. And then begin, so if anything then like compromises any of that list of things that you said that you will not compromise on, then it's approaching it slowly with saying, you know, no, oh, I can't do this, or this goes against who I am, things like that. So it's like, but first thing is be clear about what you want to set boundaries on.
Right.
And then starting small with asking, with replying questions like, no, you know, maybe another time, currently it's not my priority.
I didn't even know what setting boundaries was. I didn't even know what a boundary was, because we were just taught as women to give. So you sacrifice, you compromise, you do everything. And so who knows about boundaries? We don't do boundaries in our culture. You know, what are boundaries? And so having to kind of, when things have gone so deeply wrong in the sense when things weren't flowing, with the energy wasn't right, my health started to suffer, and I took up CBT. I addressed this quite strongly. And this was something that I discovered, the fact that I actually didn't have more, probably had boundaries, but not more, needed to be more clear. They had to be non-negotiable boundaries and things that I could not or won't ever compromise on. And that took a lot out of me. And as a woman, and I'm sure that many other women out there who also feel the same way, that would feel that, you know, we are there to just always give, and we're conditioned at a young age to always do that.
Yeah.
As wives, as mothers, as sisters, as daughters, always the female has to compromise.
No, absolutely. No, and that's something that it's not like Asian, like you said, like in Arab
Yes.
cultures as well. Boundaries as well when it comes to like question, like, you know, certain questions asked. Like,
Yes.
I remember being in like certain gatherings with like with family, like extended family, they'd ask really like, you know, very personal questions.
Yes.
Like there's no boundaries for that either, and we're unfortunately not taught to say no, or to check in with ourselves.
Yes.
So, and even when we know something's not right, we still like do it anyway, because like we feel like it's not a duty.
I think exactly how to say no to that person, you know, like, because you think, well, they're elder and they're part of my family, and, you know, I have to give them respect. I can't say that, you know, what am I to say that to, you know, you couldn't say that to my eldest cousin, you couldn't say that. You're not allowed to say that, because we have that level of respect and, you know, and for others.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But then it's then challenging that word respect. Does respect mean neglecting your own needs, neglecting your own values just out of respect for someone else? I think I think definitely through Arab and Asian cultures, that we've not fully understood the word respect, because we just think respect means, you know, like say if someone's shouting at like their wives, or, you know, then the wife shouldn't talk back, then that's respect, that's respecting the male, for example. Or, you know, someone asks something and, you know, you can't talk back, because not talk back but can't say your piece.
Yes.
You know, that's respect. That's just you neglecting yourself.
Yes. And what if a husband doesn't want to acknowledge the fact that you have to say something, or you want to say something? Isn't that a trigger in itself that should be recognized?
That should be alone. That's a red flag, because then that's not a safe space. How can you, as a female, as someone who does have, obviously, like some people have feminine versus masculine energy, but as a female, she wants the main thing that we want is to feel safe, is to feel that we can relax into a sort of space. So if that safety already isn't there, and you're not safe to be yourself, you're not safe
allowed to say what you feel and you think,
or even safe to disagree. If you're just worried that person will just, you know, suddenly spike.
Because we can't agree on everything. Like, so let's, obviously even marriages, like we different upbringings, different cultures, different situations, different scenarios. And all of a sudden two people are coming together and they'll have completely two different views on how they perceive things, right? Like how they do things.
Yeah, so, absolutely. And there's no like right or wrong either. Like it's the important part is how to approach it. So if you approach it with anger, or approach it, if you want to say no and put a boundary, you don't approach it with like a lot of resentment, or you know, in disrespect of what you say. Like you don't say like call that person names, or and also not saying the word like you never do this, or you always do this. Because out of anger, we say that a lot. Like you always ignore my needs, and like it's really important,
because the man will always pick up, especially when we're talking about female and male and talking about partnerships. It's they hear never or not, and then they don't think about anything else but that one word. It's the same with females, you know. I think with females as well.
So
pick out certain words. So I think wording your argument is very important. One of my friends, when I was getting married, she said, pick your fights well, you know, pick the one that you really want to talk about, because these other petty ones, they'll take focus, and you don't want to do that. And I remember that great advice, and I was like, oh wow, I'm gonna pick the one that I really, because the rest you can diffuse, you know, really start, if you are going to have an argument and talk about something that you believe in, then make sure it's something that is really the non-negotiable.
Absolutely. And even the word argument holds like a lot of heaviness. It's just sort of like discussion, disagreement.
Right. It's heavy. It's
heavy. Argument, again, it's one versus one, but that's what goes back to then, no, it's you both versus the problem. The problem's the issue, not the person. But if the person's not allowing you that safe space to talk, then that's a red flag within itself. And that goes back to maybe you're in a toxic relationship. So that's why it's important to be aware of that and think of your wording before you instantly react.
I always feel that when you style yourself, it's like a little dopamine hit every morning. When you wake, because like, again, you can't say an affirmation like I am positive or I am confident. And you look at yourself and you look like, you know, not woke together like shit, you know, sorry the expression, but you know, hair's all messy and you're saying, yeah, I'm beautiful. And like, no, you're not, because you can't, both of those words and actions have to align. And until they don't align, you are literally kind of telling lies to yourself. So I always think that it's like styling is like the dopamine hit, and obviously we have to do the inner work, but that could take some time. You know, that takes time and to understand yourself. But whereas you style yourself every morning, straight away you've got that little kind of little boost of energy in the morning.
And then you feel like you can tackle anything. Like it just gives you this like this bounce in your walk. You just feel better.
Absolutely. Red lipstick is the go-on, is the go-to for me. Like I put red lipstick on, I feel like I can conquer the world. You know, I've got my red lips at the back.
I love that. And I love your setup, by the way.
So I've got the red lips and I feel like, you know, when you've got red lips on, you conquer the world, you know.
Absolutely.
So aesthetically you feel good, you know, and of course we have to do inner work, but it's something that is so, because it's visual and we like to see something. And I've styled people who are literally like kind of walking down the runway.
Yeah, that's amazing. And like you see that difference in their mood as well, I'm sure, after they, because it just it highlights the beauty as well. Like they were all like naturally like beautiful, but if you're not feeling that great and you put on like makeup or you style your hair and you dress so beautiful and like that looks so nice, naturally you just kind of smile. You're like, wow, okay,
exactly. You smile to yourself.
I had you smile like, actually, that's kind of okay.
Absolutely. I had a client and she was going for a proposal and she wanted to be styled, and so I like a rishta, and so she came to me and she looked at me after she looked at herself and she looked at me after we were done, and she goes, I look like the Bollywood actress, and then she hugged me so hard and she was, oh, I can't believe it. And so for me that was so lovely, because I know that she would go into that kind of, you know, into that kind of, it was an arranged marriage, but at least she would go in feeling confident about herself, and it would allow for her to feel the best version of herself, right?
No, absolutely. I love that. And I love that you're able to provide people with that. It's like a gift giving them, like instantly.
It's a gift to themselves. I feel like styling is a gift for yourself. You know, you're giving yourself that little gift of you know, daily, you know, of looking good and feeling good, and people see you differently as well. People will react to you differently. People behave differently towards you.
Yeah, but I also think because you're radiating, because you know you feel confident due to styling yourself.
Yes.
So then this energy or this confidence then radiates out to that person or to that group of people.
Yes, and again, the self-discovery, because what you feel like what you are is not, and then it's the becoming that is that I style. So, and how you want to see yourself in the future forward.
It's like you're literally like you're tapping into your higher self, like how you want to look all the time type thing.
Again, so we're matching those words to an image which complements each other.
Which is a physical reality. It's no longer in your mind. So and then 100%. No, I love that. I love what you do, and it's just, I'm sure it helps a lot of people.
I had a friend of mine, we spoke on Zoom after my divorce. I was speaking to her and I was like, she said, oh, welcome back. And I said, no, I don't think I'm ever going to go back to that place or ever who I was. I think it's welcome forward, because I will never go back to who I was or that person even that I was before I left Dubai. You know, that Mariam that was in London, completely different person than I feel, and this is why I kind of love the UAE, because I feel I became this different person in the UAE. I kind of learned so much about myself, and I feel like that was my training camp, you know, that I really did enjoy, you know, that time. I mean, like you said, people looked fine, but you could never tell from my appearance that something was going on. And people said that to me, oh, nothing's wrong.
Fine,
really until you verbalize it. But I really was a very important part of my life where I lived and I really experienced and got to know so much about myself, my own understanding. So, you know, when I said to her, when she said, welcome back, I said, no, I could never go back. It's always welcome forward. Welcome me forward.
That is like, that deserves like a clap.
Yeah.
And be like a t-shirt, you know, like
yeah, welcome forward. I think I'll make that. Yeah, I think I'll do welcome forward. But I feel that, you know, women forget about looking forward, and we're so stuck, right? We're so stuck in this past and losing the years. And I did it myself, and I'm talking from experience when I say that you're stuck in that moment. You think, I've lost those years and I've not done this, and there's X, Y, and Z, and you've got to allow and open up your mind, and other friendships and other people can make you realize that, because you are so paralyzed in your thoughts otherwise.
And a new environment. I agree with
environment. Yes.
When I moved to UAE, it was like a whole different experience. And what I do love about UAE is like Dubai especially, is because it's very expansive. I feel like there's a lot of like flow, expansion, and there's a lot of opportunity. It's a very expansive energy here.
Anybody who goes to Dubai will be seduced to be coming back, because there's something about the place. It's not just the bling or the flashy cars or the big buildings, or forget that. There's actually a beautiful energy that attracts, and everybody is so happy. And I think there's definitely the sunshine. We are also
compared to the UK,
sure. Yeah, exactly. But I do find that there is something about the energy, you know. I love the energy of the people, and their hearts are open and hospitable.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
How you perceive yourself and how you react, because action reaction, right?
I love that, absolutely. And I love seeing like how much UAE has grown over the years. It's like, it's very innovative, it's very new. It's like they literally made the impossible possible. So that's why I think that energy kind of feeds into us somehow. And then like we then end up like wanting to create new ideas, there's always something new here. It's not like,
I think that if you want to manifest, I think Dubai is the perfect example of manifestation, because I used to hang out a lot in Dubai Mall. It's my second home, a place with city and just color, and just loved it. But like when you see the Burj, when you see the fountains, and you see the triangle of the biggest and the best, there is nothing else but a higher expectation of your own standards, that you must achieve higher. You look at that tallest building, you think, well, you know what? It's so inspirational. Like, I want to come back.
Please come back.
It's so inspirational. Because every time you look, because you have to see it, right? Like, it's all about that visualization. And so every time every time the fountains were on, every time I looked at the Burj and the lights were on, I remember I was even late for a lunch with my friend, and she said, where are you? And I was like, I'm in Dubai Mall. I was like, no, you're not. I'm not here. I'm at the table. I was like, I'm just around the corner. I was looking at the lights of the Burj, and it's captivating. It's captivating.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's exciting, and there's always like new things. And that's what I think I love. Like, I absolutely love that, like, by you loving the fountains, because it's a very, like, you're very present as well when you're watching them. It does give you a lot of that, like, being mindful in that moment. So no, I love that, absolutely. So
I've been to Vegas, and I've seen the dancing fountains there, but the Vegas ones, I've got nothing. I know that we're inspired by Vegas, but Vegas fountains and the ones in Dubai, no comparison.
Okay. Good to know. I'm actually currently on writing my book. So I'm
wonderful.
In spring 2022. So hopefully that can also provide some more practical.
And tell us more about your book that you're writing.
Yeah, so it's going to be discussing about the lies that have shaped us over the years, the lies that society has told us. So touching on limiting beliefs, like beliefs when it comes to marriage, beauty standards. So it's all the lies that we've been shaped with, and then how to break free from them, because it's just so important for us to break free from certain cages that we find ourselves in, and then create our own truth, create our own freedom, create our own actually dream life outside of what culture expectations, having that, traditional society, traditional schooling system, traditional 9 to 5, like we can do things differently. So it's a very practical book to help you break free from these like limiting beliefs and all these lies that we've been fed.
Oh, wonderful. Looking forward to that. Oh, well, good luck with that, finishing that off, and then
thank you.
Please do let us know, and then send us a copy, and we will discuss the book.
We'll
discuss the book on the next podcast. So thank you so much, Yasmen. Thank you so much for your time. And Yasmen is based in Dubai. So for all of my friends and the ladies from the International Women's Society, if you are in Dubai and you feel like you need some guidance and helping, because CBT is fantastic. I've done it myself and it really did help me a lot. And so if you want to reach out to Yasmen, please do. I'll leave her details and her Instagram handle below here. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. You too, Marion. It's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I absolutely loved it. Thank you so much.
We had a pleasure to having you on here. Take care. Take care and see you soon.
See you soon for sure. Thank you.